bunch of new channels.
Hmm.
And Fox News is a kiddie compared to
Yeah, of course.
some news services
Right.
that are out there.
Right.
Well,
I heard some shit this morning that was
yeah, right.
just really bizarre. I mean,
What now?
and they were talking about the shootings, the guns, Trumpism versus our present administration. It was so full of bullshit. I mean, it was scary. And it was scary because the reason this channel exists is because there's people who watch it.
Yep.
I mean, it's not
Right.
just out there.
Right.
There are people who watch this shit, and their life is basically guided by the misinformation they're getting
Yep.
out of this channel.
Right, it is a fact. And it's also, it is of some comfort to think, however, that almost the entire progress of events is not linear. I mean, at this point, at this point in would have been 2014, the idea of Donald Trump being elected president is inconceivable. At this point, I mean, Hillary Clinton was going to be elected. Everybody knew that. There's no way in a linear progression, there's no way in hell that you can imagine Barack Obama being elected president of the United States. I grew up, my entire life, nothing would have made anything like that conceivable. And yet, and here we are. We're having a war, we're having a tank war in Europe. Also, kind of like, whoa, where did that come from? Mm-hmm. And on and on. So we have all these, gay people got married. Who thought? Did I? No. Let me tell you, not until like Tuesday suddenly it happened. And these things, current events don't move in a linear fashion. They zig and zag all over. This may not be comfortable because things may actually be worse than what we're afraid of, but they will probably be different than what we're afraid of. Mm. And I don't, it makes it a great time to be in the news business, but it's kind of a scary time to be a human being, doesn't it? Scary time to be a human being.
It's a scary time to be a mom, dad.
Oh, I got that. I got kids, grandchildren, of course, that yeah. I don't really, I listen to them because most of what I know about conducting a life is not particularly relevant anymore. Kind of grown out of anything that I knew that was useful.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, unfortunately, I like these kids and they're doing fine, but wow.
Yeah, it's really not a society set up for them to succeed. It truly isn't. There's so much working against them all, economically, whatever.
Well, my family, especially my offspring's families, are very upper middle class, and they will do fine. Mm-hmm. That does not mean that they will be comfortable in the world that we're creating or is being created. Correct. And to their credit, they aren't happy. I mean, these people are not. The kids in my family don't seem to be taking this easily. They're not. Right. They're not happy with what's going on. But right. But what a mess. I mean, I'm working on water stuff. Sitting here, I told somebody the other day, you're talking about water. Talk about water. I'm watching my trees die. Okay, let's talk about water. This is like hair on fire stuff. Yeah. Some interesting problems there.
Yeah, the house is burning and everyone's sitting there watching TV.
Well, and and they're all. I mean, the reality of climate change is still intellectual in most of the urban areas of the state. I don't think they see it yet. I mean, I don't think they see climate change isn't a real thing much for them. I mean, I think they believe in it, yeah. But they don't feel it. I've got dead trees. I got millions of dead trees. We all have.
Oh, are you talking about people in the city aren't feeling it? Is that what you're saying?
They aren't intellectually. They understand that there's climate change, but they aren't experiencing it the way I am.
Correct. Yeah, as you watch your tree die.
Watching the fact that when my kids were young there was snow and now there's not.
You know what's sad
There's
is like,
people in Mariposa that are deniers,
oh, there's people all over the
And-
world that
and-
are deniers.
but it's here. It's all
Sure, of course
around.
it is.
It touches our life daily.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're,
um,
it's very hard to admit, it's very hard for people to admit they're wrong. Cults are like that, you know. It's really hard to say, you know what, the last 4 years, I'm sorry, of all that stuff I said I was not true, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't buy property here in Mariposa when I had the opportunity to just this last year. I chose to buy up north. And here, because water is not here, it's not going to be. It's not on the ridges around Mariposa. It might be down in the valley here, but it's not on the ridges. So I chose to buy up north, and even there, they're complaining about how little water they get now comparatively to 20, 30 years ago. So it's everywhere, everything is changing.
I have a wonderful thing to tell you. Do you know there are the golf courses in California, and I knew the numbers, like 951 of them, use 90 million gallons of water a year.
And they don't have to recycle their water, huh?
Well, they don't have to, but the point is it's a reservoir.
It is a
That's enough for about 1,300 homes.
It's huge, I know.
It's a reservoir. Sorry, we've decided your golf course is now, you know.
Well,
something
soon in
else.
California, I can't imagine them not. I would imagine that there's going to be dry golf courses.
There's going to be dry
Yeah,
golf courses.
so, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Frisbee
They're
golf,
perfectly fine.
right.
Their frisbee golf would be wonderful. Now, and here's Jim Croce.
Let's tell you something about Walter Cronkite. As wonderful as extraordinary and all the rest of that newsroom was entirely white men. I was there. It was entirely white men. I went to work in a newspaper in Chicago, my first job in Chicago, 20 years old, I guess, I don't know, and it was the Chicago Sun-Times. And it was years before, when I looked back, I realized that newsroom was entirely white male in Chicago. Not a single person of color.
But
And
did
there
they
were
report
women. There was a
fairly?
girl in the newsroom, there was a girl in the sports desk, and the city editor's secretary was a girl. But other than that, it was all white men all the way back till you got to feature section, the people who wrote about. Ann Landers was in that newsroom, and until you got back to Ann Landers, it was all white men. All white men. So, all those good old days. I mean, imagine the stories we didn't cover or didn't know about or didn't think about, or the points of view we didn't have, or Walter Cronkite didn't have. So
yeah, but
you
could he have other people in his life that would give him those points
Well,
of
maybe
view?
so, but I'm
that-
telling you that the institution, the news institution of that was the 60s.
Yeah, but that was the 60s. Everything was all white male.
I
Rarely.
understand that,
Yeah.
but this part before internet, when everything was wonderful, not so much. I was there.
Oh, there was never a wonderful time.
Well, that's it. That's Make America.
I think we're all fooling ourselves.
Well, no,
if we
that's
ever
why
believe
I always
that.
sort of think about Make America Great Again as to
Where? It's
which
never
exact
been.
America did we have in mind, because I'm old enough now to have lived through enough of it to
Exactly.
say, you know,
Yeah,
for some,
that's it. For some, exactly. That's exactly
anyway, it's
what
just,
I hear.